Welcome to Watch the Bookerman and to the fourth episode, the fourth show of this Kurt Angle's Heroes of Wrestling tour. We are in Australia. We are once again in Queensland for this show, the second show in a row in Queensland. We're doing two shows sort of in each game area is the current plan anyway. But I'm here before I've actually booked any of the show because we have two backstage incidents and it's with two of the guys who I've recently brought in. Ryback concerns me slightly less. So Ryback got into a heated argument with a fan outside and had to be restrained. That's not too bad. He's an egomaniac. We'll give him a slap on the wrist because I'm not actually too bothered about him doing that. He didn't get physical, I don't think. We're not going to have any lawsuits or anything like that. So Ryback is dealt with fairly softly, but Cass is somebody who I know has had issues in the past, so I'm hoping it's nothing too serious. He got sent home as he was in no condition to work. Well, that throws a spanner in the works. I'm tempted to fire him, but I am hoping he can come back at a later. So we'll fine him. If it happens again, we're going to have to fire him. But he's very happy to be fined. Oh, that is very, very disappointing and screws our plans for the show. So I'm going to get to booking it, see what I come up with, and this tour really isn't going well, is it? The show itself actually gets off to a pretty good start, a really good segment to open the show. Kurt Angle coming out to introduce the fourth night of the tour and cut off this time by an angry Enzo Amore. Of course, earlier we saw that Big Cass had to be sent home, and Enzo brings this into the storyline, not saying that it was because of his drug issues, but because of what happened last week. They've sent Big Cass home from the tour, but Enzo is still here. Enzo wants to know why there's this inconsistency, but Kurt says that he has other plans for the annoying ringleader Enzo Amore, and he's going to be punished in the opening match of the night. Enzo underperformed, but it's a good segment, so if Enzo wasn't underperforming, how good could it have been? Kurt doing a really good job of improvising. I do wonder what it would have rated if I'd have done it as 5 minutes. Might be an idea for the next show to do the opening Kurt Angle promo as 5 minutes and seeing if it gets a better rating, or maybe we need to do even shorter, but I'm thinking 5 minutes should be a reasonable length of segment. I'm sure we've done angles that long that have gotten away with it, but the opening match sees Chris Hero pick up a victory over Enzo Amore. Of course, Amore is the kind of guy you can throw around, and this perfectly suits Chris Hero's style, but the finish actually comes by disqualification. Enzo seemingly finding himself some new allies with Big Cass not there when Leo Rush and Mike Bennett come in and attack Chris Hero. The referee calls for the bell, and a 3-on-1 attack follows a not too bad opening match, the segment letting it down afterwards and losing heat to the storyline, but it's just the three men laying into Chris Hero, and perhaps surprisingly nobody comes out to help him as we move into a backstage interview with Ryback, who is met while he's promoting the main event, the steel cage showdown between him and Rusev. Ethan Carter talks about their history. They were both on the OG style NXT. They were NXT before it was cool, and they should work together tonight. He can scratch Ryback's back and Ryback can scratch his back. But Ryback is not interested in any kind of association with Ethan Carter in another solid segment, so hopefully this is going to be one of our better shows again, just on the strength of these promos that are hopefully boosting it up. Ethan Carter getting better at his gimmick and advancing the long-term storyline that's bubbling under Ethan Carter and Rusev. Crazy Mary Dobson then faces Madison Eagles. Dobson currently undefeated in the company, but she does lose to Madison Eagles in a nearly 11-minute match with the Hellbound. It's another good performance from Madison Eagles, not so good from Crazy Mary Dobson. We tried to push her. This is better than she's done in the last few matches, but yeah, she wasn't at the level we wanted her to be, and I think pushing Madison Eagles, despite her not being part of this WWE alumni, will be better for the company long term. She's just better in ring and in terms of her overness. Everything suggests that we should be putting more into Madison Eagles and less into Crazy Mary Dobson, and Eagles celebrates her victory in the ring. Last week she was somewhat overshadowed by the arrival of Tenille Dashwood, but there's no doubt tonight that she is the star of the end of that segment kind of thing. She gets a win and there's nobody there to take the shine off her. Hawkins and Ryder v Gallows and Anderson is the third match, which will end the first hour of the show, and we get a video package to the last time they faced. Gallows and Anderson showing the first signs of that aggression they've displayed. On the last show they refused to shake Rhino and Heath Slater's hands, so we're continuing to build a kind of heel persona for Gallows and Anderson, and they're actually defeated by Hawkins and Ryder in the return match. It's an okay match. Zack Ryder the best performer, Cal Anderson doing okay, all the ways around that same rating really, isn't it? Zack Ryder is able to roll up Luke Gallows, catching him off guard to pick up the win. After the match, Hawkins and Ryder celebrate. Gallows and Anderson leave up the ramp, but turn back around. They're not happy. They are bad losers, and they decide to lay into Hawkins and Ryder, solidifying their heel position, really. I don't actually have face and heel divide on at the minute because when I started the save, I messed up a little bit, so I just decided to not have face and heel on. But clearly, in the way they are acting, they've positioned themselves as heel characters going forward, and I think we just needed a strong heel tag team when we've got a few decent face tag teams that we're building up. The end of the first hour, actually, this was minute 58 to 60, so actually this is the final thing of the first hour, is a Rusev interview, and he has just jumped from the side while talking about wanting to face Ryback one-on-one. He is jumped from the side by Ethan Carter. His plan A was to get Ryback on side. That didn't work, so his plan B was to take out the man who he is in a little bit of a rivalry with. Ethan Carter can't get involved in anything physical, but hopefully we can shoot the segment that we don't risk anything with Carter, but he does lay Rusev out, advancing the storyline, but losing heat as Rusev didn't do a very good job when improvising. His promo last week, I think, got like in the 40s, so he's quite a big swing there, but it's also on Carter's overness, so that probably didn't help either. Another tag team match and another women's match. Deonna Purrazzo and Erica Reed facing the debuting Summer Rae and Tenille Dashwood, and it is Rae and Dashwood who pick up the win. Dashwood, the driving force behind the team's victory, and she hits a roaring elbow to Erica Reed to pick up the victory. Tenille Dashwood is better than the other competitors in the match, and I think her and Madison Eagles should be putting on a decent match, but I will admit I did want better from them. Losing heat to her storyline, the storyline that's developing between them two, and those two stand tall. Tenille taking a microphone, which is a little bit better and does gain heat to the storyline, so offsets the bad match. She takes centre stage, saying that nobody else matters but her. Of course, this is again undercutting Madison Eagles, and this Heroes of Wrestling tour is all about her. So again, a cocky, arrogant side to her, but I don't think it matters too much. Like I said, she's going to be a popular figure here, and I think she does her best work when she's in this character. She was a bubbly babyface in WWE for some time, but I think she's taken more seriously and does better work as that evil Emma character that she sort of moved into. Leo Rush and Mike Bennett then pick up a victory over Heath Slater, the Colons, and Insanity. The order of elimination, that's quite annoying about it being the order of elimination again, because I didn't want it to be an elimination match. I really need to check that. I wish the default matches weren't that, because most four-way tag team matches you see aren't elimination matches, but the Colons go out first. They're pretty much jobbers like they were in WWE. They've not really risen up the card since joining this company. Then Insanity, and then Heath Slater and Rhino look to have the match in the bag when Enzo Amore comes out. I've put Rockstar Spud in there. I put that in, but took that out. So Rockstar Spud comes in first, I'm going to say, and runs off. We don't know why he's got involved. I'm going to have to try and work a storyline into why he would attack Heath Slater. But the key thing that is decisive in the end of the match is Enzo running back down and taking out Rhino. The idea being that he is paying back Leo Rush and Mike Bennett for helping him earlier, and pretty much solidifying that there is a new alliance in the company. Heath Slater doing well. Eric Rowan actually surprising me there. The rest not really remarkable ratings. A few green notes though, so that's good to see, and it is actually an okay match. As we go into a post-match segment, which is those three standing tall, it seems we have a new alliance: Mike Bennett, Enzo, and Leo Rush. I think Leo Rush and Enzo are people who, based on the sort of internet rumours, are considered two of the more annoying backstage personalities. Obviously I don't know them, but of course this will be in the fans' minds, so I want to tap into that and just have them be as annoying as possible, ramp it up to 11, and Mike Bennett standing between them as the leader of this new group, trying to build them as the top heel sort of act in the company. No Way Jose comes out because he's furious about what's happened and wants to fight all three men, but of course that is not a wise decision, and he also gets laid out. That's probably going to set up Jose, Slater, and Rhino versus this new group who don't yet have a name. I'll probably have to think of something, and we'll probably introduce their name in the next show, if not after that. And this segment, I have to admit, was basically just there because I knew it'd get a good rating. It was 5 minutes rather than 6, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Yeah, 5 minutes, so that's the length that we need our angles to be. An awful gimmick and low locker room morale both causing trouble. We're on the new public beta 6 here, so I'm wondering if there has been a change to locker room or whether that's just because of what Cass did, and Ryback getting into that verbal altercation with a fan. So there has been a few things that will knock down that morale, but it's disappointing if that is hurting the show overall. But it's a very good promo from Mick Foley, who I know he's more known for a Hell in a Cell, but he can also put over the dangers of a steel cage match, the risk that Ryback and Rusev are taking, and just tries to hype up and promote that match as much as he possibly can. And we go into that main event match there that gets a 35 rating. It's hard when everything's so bad, it's hard to sort of judge, but Rusev putting in a good performance there, so that is encouraging signs from him. Ryback again with a pretty poor performance. He's over, and I thought he had a decent impact in his first week, but yeah, not what we wanted when we were looking at bringing in the people to bring more star quality and to raise the bar of that lack of big names note we were getting. But it was a decent crowd reaction, but subpar wrestling. And Ryback actually defeats Rusev, giving him his first defeat. I'm pretty sure it's his first defeat in the company, pinning him after a shell shock. But the key piece of information is that Ryback is down. Rusev goes to leave the cage through the door, and Rockstar Spud, of course, the associate of EC3, another part of furthering that storyline that we're building to the big payoff to. He slams the door in the face of Rusev, a fairly common trope in a steel cage match. Ryback gets up, he doesn't realise what's happened, and instinctively he just wants to win the match, and he hits the shell shock. So we're not saying that he's in cahoots with Ethan Carter, but he has certainly benefited from his associate Rockstar Spud's involvement. And after the match, Ethan Carter takes this as like a, I've helped you out, so now you're on side, now you're on board with me. Ryback doesn't see it like that and looks very annoyed as Ethan Carter is applauding him and cheering him and clearly trying to get the big man on side, which, considering he is poking the bear in Rusev, he definitely wants to have as much muscle behind him, because we're trying to build up Rusev as the big face. It's lost us popularity in 7 regions, but it is a 38 rating, so not the worst show we've done. Increased our popularity in 22 regions. That'll be the non-Australian regions that the pay-per-view aired in. Leo Rush was used too much, and there is a general feeling that we don't have enough storyline, so them same notes that we keep getting. I'm going to praise Madison Eagles first and foremost, because I forgot to do that on the last show. I'm going to praise Rusev because he carried that main event and put in a really good performance. In fact, I'm going to tell him he had a great performance. And who else will stand out? I can't really think. I know Heath Slater did pretty well. I'm going to say Mick Foley, actually. Mick Foley got a really good promo that probably helped this from being one of our worst shows, so pointed out as a good example. He put people over, so good example. Well done, Mick, and they all seem pleased with that. So the 4th night of the tour, again, pretty good feedback, especially for a company of our size, but considerably lower pay-per-view buys. Obviously, these shows not delivering as we need them to be. Maybe it's because it's the 4th one that we've done in 2 weeks. I'm thinking that could be an issue now. I've got a few more planned for January, well, maybe just 2 more, and I think that we're going to see a significant drop for them, because I do remember in the previous game, I think the most pay-per-views you could have in a month was 4. That might have changed. We'll find out soon. Maybe even this is the reason for such a big drop-off. But 512 in attendance, so I do think that's our biggest attendance to date, or there or thereabouts. Contract negotiations that I'm going to deal with here. Somebody suggested this in the comments to a previous video, and I think the ascension of people who I'd forgotten about, but I think will be decent additions to the roster. Again, the lack of big names. There is nothing I can do about that, because I don't think the big names are available that would A, want to join the company, and who B, suit the style of promotion that we're booking. There's probably people who I could bring in to get better matches, but obviously we're doing a sort of almost a WWE tribute show in a way, so we are limited to who we're capable of bringing in. I was just going to check, the pay-per-view buys, so it's, like a 25,000 drop and 30,000, 40,000 down from the first one. I do think Rusev and Ryback would put in a good match, and we've got quite a few things starting to flesh out and develop. We're kind of going in our own direction. I think Mike Bennett, Enzo and Leo Rush, with Big Cass having an uncertain future with the promotion, I think putting Enzo and Leo as a bit of a tag team, 2 small guys, 2 annoying characters, I think they'll work well together, and Mike Bennett as the leader of that group I also like. Madison Eagles and Tennille Dashwood is not something that's based on any WWE personas. It really is like a storyline that we're building ourselves. So there's obviously the big WWE influence, but we are coming into our own with this company, and I'm wondering whether to do a UK tour as part of this. It depends if I'm still enjoying it after the 8th show. Obviously there's only so much you can do with a limited roster, and hopefully I think if we did one in the UK, the ratings would be more like what we'd want them to be. But that's the end of episode 4, halfway through, and the storylines are still ongoing. We do really need to get some more heat on all these storylines, and probably to add some more storylines, because there's some stuff going on that I've not put into the game yet. and the pay-per-view buys is definitely something to keep an eye on. So if this tour has gone badly already with the forgetting to put the show actually airing on any broadcaster, the terrible ratings, and even Big Cass being signed, making one appearance and then getting sent home with his issues, if we get a real kick in the teeth with nobody buying the pay-per-views, things can go from bad to worse.